Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Debbie. Welcome to my channel. We are watching the Widow's Words murder trial, Iowa v. Karina Cooper. This is day 3, the afternoon session. They are not back yet, but we have a view of the very pretty clock. Oh, I just heard the audio start. So it looks like we are back. I can get StreamYard to do what it's supposed to do. There we go.
Hi, everybody. Okay, we are back on the record after our lunch break. We have our jurors, counsel, and parties present. You may recall that just before lunch, we had our lunch break. We had finished with the testimony of Ms. Earhart, and I think by agreement of counsel, we're going to circle back to Exhibit C. You remember that was Agent Turbot was talking about an interview with Houston Danker, and then that was admitted, and this was the 2021 sometime interview, and we're going to play that video at this point. Before we do, I just want to also say thank you to all of you. You have been so far on time, all the time, and I really appreciate that. If anything, we've kept you waiting on occasion. You've never kept us waiting, and that's not the case all the time with jurors. Sometimes we have stragglers coming in and out, and so just want to say thank you to all of you for being so prompt and being here ready to go when it's time to start every day and after breaks. So thank you for that. All right, with that, we've tried this. We anticipate it's going to work, but we'll give it a go.
People, you gotta figure out your tech issues. Seriously.
I can tell you as well.
And follow up with you again. Or did law enforcement like? No, I don't know if that works.
It said like, I can't remember what it said, 40 minutes, but I forgot they opened the 4-lane on.
Oh, it's okay. Just grab a seat. Yeah, actually, if you can grab a seat here, it'd be great. So
Okay.
It's easier for me to write.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna really cut to the chase because
Hey, Joe.
social media. I started law enforcement like 25 years ago. We didn't have social media, we didn't have Facebook and all that nonsense. And now that we do, every time something happens, everybody's on the internet.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you should look at this, you should look at that.
Right.
Anyway, why your name came up is Ryan Cooper died.
See, and
Okay, so Ryan Cooper died, and one of the first, I don't know, in the first hour, someone said, hey, we heard that Karina was having an affair with Houston. That's why you're here, okay?
Yeah.
So, all I got to do is I got to sort out a few things with you about that. I'm going to get you out of here, and then we may have to follow up with you again some other time.
Okay.
But the rumor's out there, so we have to talk to you, right?
Yep.
Is it Huston?
Huston, yep.
And your middle name?
William. William.
And
M. W-I.
how do you spell your last name?
O. D-A-N-K-E-R.
Your birthday?
9/11/97.
Your address now?
2798. Highway 8. Traer Island.
97.
506.
10 years
And I
after
have your phone
graduated
number. You can just give me a
319 330. 1616. Yeah, like I said, you just kind of called me at the perfect time. I was going
Yeah, it was awesome. And where do you work at now?
Nolan Farms in Van Horn.
Nolan Farms.
Rick Nolan or whatever, yeah. Whatever you want to put.
What do you do there?
I'm a farmhand.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. We have excavating.
And that's like full time?
Yeah. Yep.
Monday through Friday, or depending on seasonal?
It seems like we have so much going, so I mean, it seems more 7 days. You know, I have my kids in for the weekend, so
I grew up in Belle Plaine, so I'm aware of farm stuff. That's how I'm.
Oh, so you probably know the Nolans then a little bit.
I know a lot of Dankers. I'm like trying to think of.
Yeah, there's a Dave Danker in Belle Plaine.
Oh.
Everybody asks me if I'm related.
I'm quite a bit older than you are, so I don't know. A lot older than you, actually. So. So,
but yeah, I would just say, fuck. An average would be 6 days a week.
Okay. All right. So, the rumor that's going around is Ryan, or you and Karina were Snapchatting. Did that actually happen at some point?
Yeah. Oh,
okay. When did that happen?
Yeah. I mean, if it's once a week, twice, you know, I mean, it's.
Is it still going on?
With me and Karina?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, it's random Snapchat shit. You know, I mean,
okay.
it's you know, maybe.
Is it Karina? Randomly?
Yeah.
And how long has that been going on for?
Oh. Shit. I don't know. Probably November, October. Just, yeah, probably October, November time frame.
And you think you said what, once or twice a week?
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything you know, just your typical like I said, Snapchat, random, you know.
Okay, so let's rewind then to how I said I'm a lot older than you.
Yeah.
I have kids. I'm aware of Snapchat. Actually, my daughter is 3 years younger than you. So, what does Snapchat then entail? Is it like almost like texting, something like that?
Just like, oh, you don't have Snapchat?
No.
Oh, just like random picture, you know, like let's say you're sitting on the deck, you know, after a long day of work, take a picture of your beer and, well, you know, long day. You see what I'm saying? You know.
Okay.
Like if I'm, yeah, let's say you're planting corn, you take a Snapchat, send it to all your buddies because you want to get them worked up that you're planting corn, you know.
Right. So then you used to get your hair cut there, right?
Yep.
Do you still get your hair cut there or no?
Well, I did when I worked at Liquid Grove just because it was convenient. And then now with me working down in Van Horn, I don't have much time to really get my hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
B, you know, it's not right down the road.
So, the...
Stupid child is what you are. You're stupid.
What I was told, and keep in mind this is sometimes second and third hand through people,
Yep.
is that Ryan found out that you were Snapchatting and she then refused to cut your hair. Did anything like that happen?
No. I mean, like I said, it was more or less a convenience deal of, you know.
Did Ryan never know about you two Snapchatting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did she say something to you about it?
No, I mean, we're all kind of like...
Well, keep in mind, okay,
Yeah.
so let me explain things a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we have her phone, okay? We have
Yep.
Ryan's phone.
Yep.
And what we are able to do is we basically are able to clone everything off the phone
Gotcha.
in order to... So any conversation that she's had with you, even if she deleted it, we can still get it. It's like FBI technology stuff. So
Right.
we'll still be able to get that. We'll be able to get locations. We'll be able to get all that kind of
Yep.
data. I mean, the stuff that we can do now as opposed to what we could do back in the 90s with cell phones. It's like, it's unbelievable, really.
Right.
So, there's no point in you kind of dance. If you were screwing around with her or what, it doesn't make you a killer or anything
No.
like that, right? Guess what? People have affairs all the time.
Right.
There's not a perfect marriage out there, at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Where people don't sometimes do things that they don't regret, whether it's, have an argument that they said something they shouldn't have, or they have an affair, or they, use too many drugs, or drink too much alcohol, or gamble too much. Everybody's got weird shit going on in their lives, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I don't want you to get too nervous about it, because if you had an affair with Karina, it doesn't make you guilty of anything other than you had an affair with her.
Right. Well, and that I'll put it this way. I'll completely dumb it down. So, like,
Right.
with me and Karina, the hard thing with all that rumor being spread is I was literally sitting there like I would say a gay best friend. I was having, me and my baby mama split up. Okay. I was getting my hair cut by Karina, and I have 2 kids.
Right.
She loves kids, whatever, and she always told me, if you're ever in a pinch, hey, I don't have a problem watching your kids, whatever. And so we were all, everybody was friends, whatever. Well then, she watched my kids a couple times when I was in a pinch. Well then it fucking, how small towns talk,
Exactly.
Houston's kids are over at Karina's, he's fucking nailing her,
Yeah.
and then, and I guess that's probably where Ryan probably got upset.
Because you kind of, again, keep in mind, I don't know you. I've known you for, 10 minutes now?
Yeah.
But you kind of got a reputation where you're pretty successful with the ladies, right?
I won.
Better luck than some. Or not as bad as others.
Years ago.
Years ago.
It's bad to say, but I'm young with 2 kids.
Right.
But,
So the 2 kids from 2 different moms, is that?
no, same mom.
Same mom?
Same mom, yeah.
But
Yep.
you guys aren't married?
No. No.
Right. And how old are your kids?
Hayden, he'll be 2. I suck at doing the whole month deal.
Yeah, you do.
He'll be 2 in October, and then Sailor, she'll be 1.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking close together.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so your kids are staying over, or Karina would watch them every now and then, right?
Yeah, I think she watched them a total of 3 times,
Okay.
just because
Right.
I got them on the week or during the week,
No, they were
and
not.
then obviously I didn't have a place to go, because I don't have daycare.
Mm-hmm. So is it normally then baby's mama that watches them?
Yeah, she's got primary custody. I just got every other week, every other
Okay.
weekend. But see, that was a weird time because none of that.
That is such a weird way for a heterosexual male to describe himself, too. No straight man is going to describe himself that way.
That was set in stone. So my baby mom at the time would call me fucking randomly and say, "Hey, you got the kids today?" Well,
Well, like I said, relationships are complicated, right?
yeah.
Okay. So, and then you kind of met did you meet Karina then just from the hair shop?
Yeah. I've always known Karina. Everybody's always known Karina and Ryan because obviously I grew up in Trevor, but that's where, she cut my hair and bullshit,
Is there a need to cuss so much? Really?
They're lifers from Trevor too.
Ryan and Karina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually grew up, so I graduated from Belle Plaine. I grew up
Dumbass! You
Just north of
dumbass!
town,
You're a
in
dumbass!
Toledo.
Such a dumbass!
76
You're an ass.
to 86. I lived out there.
Oh.
Yeah. It's changed a little, but not a whole lot since
No.
I lived here.
It's not like Cedar Rapids or Waterloo or something.
No, it's not. But I still like
You
the life's
dumbass!
home
You're a
here.
dumbass! Such a
Yeah.
dumbass!
So you always knew her.
You're an ass.
How long were you getting your hair cut there?
I gotta think back of You know, I think it was probably when I started working at Liquid Grow. So, fuck. I don't know if it.
Just a
Throw
guess.
2 years out there, year and a half. Yeah.
And then the Snapchatting, did that kind of coincide with watching the kids, or how did
Yeah,
that?
that's where that picked up was, there for a while. Karina, she was just my, cut my hair, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I started having kids, and she, I
Those text messages had nothing to do about arranging childcare. I've never seen text messages that talk about that have anything to do with arranging childcare.
I honestly needed fucking help, is what and I wasn't telling her,
young.
I wasn't telling her I needed help, but I was kind of,
Right.
And then she offered, and I would say that's where the chatting started. The friendship.
Mm-hmm. And then you described it as what, you're her gay friend, or how'd you describe it?
The best way I could put it is, just a gay best friend.
Yeah. So,
like when everybody around Traer was saying, "Oh, Houston's nailing her," or whatever. I'm sitting there like, "Nope, I."
mm-hmm. So, are we gonna? I mean, and I don't know. I mean, if you drink a lot or she drinks a lot, is there? I think back to college, when we would get a little out of hand, like we'd send like a dick pic to somebody or something. Just is there going to be anything like that between you and Karina, or anything that you like? Well, look, we were friends, but maybe there might be something that the police might think's inappropriate. But we're not finding anything like that. Okay. I actually got because this is a state phone and the numbers always switch. When I first got this phone, I would have I don't know who this number belonged to. I'd get guys from Fort Dodge calling me all trying to sell me stolen stuff.
Oh,
And I'm just like, dude, let me meet you, and then I call the police and let them know where they're gonna be. But okay. So what was your day like yesterday? And
I went to my junior prom with my gay best friend. They're pretty cool. They really are. But I wasn't allowed to stay out past the midnight, so he had to bring me home because what everybody thinks happens on prom night. So I wasn't allowed. They went bowling, and I wasn't allowed to go out with them because my mom didn't trust him. But then I couldn't tell my mom that he was gay either because then I wouldn't have been allowed to go out with him. So I was stuck in a catch-22 there, but we had a good time.
got to work typically. Yesterday I got to work about 6:45.
yeah.
Mowed hay until I can't remember what time we got done. About, I would say 6:30, 7 o'clock last night is when I finished up.
Where'd you go after that?
Well, I left Van Horn, and naturally, I needed gas, so I ran into Traer.
Mm-hmm.
Got gas in Traer. And then went home and hung out.
And who was home with you last night?
Just, I live by myself.
Okay. Did you go on about any last night, or
After I got gas.
early morning? Yeah.
After I got gas, I just went and looked at a couple farms down by Cloutier. We have a farm down by Cloutier.
What time do you think you went to bed?
Last night, probably 11:30.
So after
12. Yeah, I'd say 10:30, 11.
Okay. So we do a thing, it's called a geofence. And what the geofence does, it's a technology thing that I'm not capable of explaining. but say this is Ryan's house and Karina's house.
Yep.
What we do is a geofence, so we'll take the map or whatever and draw like a big box
Oh.
around it, and every phone that travels through that box at a certain time frame
Yep.
gets picked up. And there's this. It's scary if you knew how easily our phones are literally being tracked, whether we want it
Always.
to or not. So, at any point, say like after midnight, or are we going to find your phone in our box?
No.
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 And then we also are collecting. Obviously, you've been out there, so it's like a incredibly isolated area. I always call it God's country, right? Because it's great properties out there with all the open space and all that. But what we'll do is we'll go to all the different farms, and there's a lot of farmers get whatever like farm equipment stolen, that sort of thing. So we put cameras up. We're not going to find any of your vehicles or anything on camera from last night, other than where you should be.
Yep.
Did Karina ever confide in you in anything, like her and Ryan aren't doing so hot, or did she ever complain about anything regarding Ryan? Since you might, if you're the gay friend, sometimes that's who people talk to, right?
See, and it was never like really that, like the gay best friend part pretty much just comes from me and my kids. I mean,
Right.
not anything.
You're the helpless single dad that needs help every now and then.
That's pretty well kind of the way. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Are you seeing someone now, or?
No. I kind of burns you.
Two kids and you're not together, so that's not hard.
It's the child support and everything, I don't know.
Makes you paranoid for the next one, huh?
Not paranoid, but just kind of, I don't know. I like doing my own deal, I guess. Or I don't know what the best way to put it is.
Okay. All right. But hey, I appreciate you coming down as quickly as you did.
Yeah. What time is it?
It's time for you to go.
Oh, about 4. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. Yep.
Any questions for me?
No.
So it's a long process for us. We had, like I said, we had to collect all the phone data and all that stuff. So
Yep.
We got several rumors that we got to track down right now.
Yeah.
So you're just one of them.
I get that.
Don't feel too special. So.
Yep.
If you don't have any questions for me, let's get you out of here.
No.
Cool.
You got my phone number and all that?
Oh yeah. I'll call you if I need you.
Yep. That is perfect. Yeah.
What an idiot.
All right.
Gee.
Then with that, is the state prepared to call its next witness?
Stupid.
Ms. Williams.
Teresia, hey.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would call Leroy Bradley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bradley. Come on up and have a seat to my far left, if you would, sir. Mr. Bradley, first thing I'm going to do, sir, is swear you in. If you please raise your right hand. Mr. Bradley, do you swear or affirm, sir, that the testimony you'll be giving in these proceedings will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And then, Mr. Bradley, next thing is, can you please give us your first and last name and spell them both for us, please?
Leroy Bradley, Leroy Bradley.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Do you prefer Leroy or Mr. Bradley?
Leroy's fine.
Okay, thank you. Leroy, where do you currently live?
Traer, Iowa.
What's your occupation?
I like
What's agronomist? Okay. And do you know Ryan and Karina Cooper?
yes.
How do you know Ryan and Karina?
Known Ryan my whole life and Karina since I was young. And I worked with Ryan on a daily basis, working through his farm.
How would you describe your relationship with Ryan? Did you know Ryan and Karina throughout their marriage?
Yes.
Okay. Leroy, at some point prior to Ryan being killed, did you and Ryan talk about firearms?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall Ryan talking with you about purchasing firearms for Karina?
Yes.
Do you recall what type of firearm he discussed purchasing?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained?
You recall him discussing purchasing firearms, correct?
Correct.
Did he tell you why he was purchasing a firearm?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained?
It just goes to state of mind, Your Honor,
Sustained.
not for the,
State of mind is an exception to hearsay.
did Ryan bring to you?
22 pistol.
Did he mention whether he had any other firearms at that time?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained?
Did he show you the firearm that he brought?
Yes.
Were you aware of any firearms that were purchased for Karina Cooper?
Yeah, 380, I believe.
Were any other firearms purchased for Karina Cooper?
He purchased.
Objection, Your Honor, this relies on hearsay.
Overruled, you can answer.
He purchased the 22 pistol to teach her how to shoot before he used the 380, or had her shoot the 380.
Were you personally familiar, did you have a personal relationship with Karina Cooper?
Yes.
And during your time knowing Karina and Ryan, were you aware of any, or did you become aware of any conflicts in their relationship?
Outside of the affair he thought she was having, or, I mean, they would, when she would drink, they would argue.
What kinds of things would they argue about?
Pretty much anything, if she,
Do you recall if they argued about finances?
I know that there was some time there when Karina had run up some credit card bills that the family farm paid for, so I know that there was some,
How did you know this?
Ryan told me.
Did you and Ryan also discuss a possible affair between Houston Danker and Karina?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, the spring of 21.
So just before Ryan was killed?
Yes, it had been March or April there.
Do you know or have any knowledge of whether Ryan confronted Karina about that affair?
I know yes, he told me he had confronted
Objection, Your
her.
Honor, hearsay. I move to strike the answer.
Sustained, the answer will be stricken, and the jury shall disregard whatever it heard with respect to the answer.
Woman, you've got to argue there are exceptions to hearsay. Did
Did you observe any behavior exhibited by Karina towards Ryan?
Not physically, but she would verbally go after him pretty hard.
When you say she would verbally go after him, what would that mean, or what would that look like?
Oh, I mean, just verbally calling him names or saying he's stupid, or, I mean, just when she started drinking, she could get pretty ornery.
How would Ryan respond?
Usually just get quiet.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Ms. Watt, cross-examination.
No questions, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. Mr. Ringel, looks like you've got the mic now. Is the state prepared to call us next witness?
Yes, Judge, thank you. The state would call Teresa McBride.
Yep. Good afternoon, ma'am. Have you come on up here to my far left, if you would? That chair right there. Okay. Yep, set your purse down. Go ahead and have a seat. And then that microphone is on. You can adjust it kind of however you'd like, ma'am. Okay. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swear you in, so I'm going to ask that you raise your right hand. So, ma'am, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in these proceedings will be the truth?
I do.
Okay. And next thing, can you just give us your first name and your last name and spell them for us, please?
Sure. Teresa McBride, Teresa McBride.
All right, thank you. Mr. Engel.
Good afternoon, Ms. McBride. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm going to ask you to pull that microphone just a little bit closer to you.
Sure. Is that better?
Perfect. Thank you. Where do you live, Ms. McBride?
North of Independence?
Is that close to Traer or the Traer community?
No.
Okay.
About an hour and 15 minutes.
All right. Did you live in or around?
From 2019 and 2023.
Did you know Karina and Ryan Cooper?
Yes, I did.
How did you know them?
I met them through Brian Morrison, who I was dating at the time.
What's the nature of your relationship with Ryan and Karina?
They were friends of Brian's, and they became friends of mine.
So when you say you're friends, what kind of stuff were you guys doing? Could you describe the relationship?
Oh, we went on, we did a lot of camping together, went up north and went snowmobiling, get together in the shop for social gatherings, either at their place or other friends in Traer area.
How often?
Pretty on a regular basis. We were somewhere either some night during the week or maybe throughout the weekends. Sometime, depending on the time of the season, if it was harvest or planting, we may not see Ryan as much and Karina, but we usually tried to get together.
Because presumably Ryan was busy with work in the fields, is that correct?
Yes.
That's my girl. Get out of my head.
Were you close with Karina?
We had gotten close throughout the years, probably not as close as some of the other friends in the area because I was kind of a transplant.
Okay, what do you mean by that, you were a transplant?
I wasn't originally from there. I grew up in the Independence area, and then when Brian and I started dating, I moved to that location in 2019.
You talked a little bit about the different things you would do together. It sounds like you were seeing them at least once a week, maybe a little bit more, going on some trips. How long would you say that
The 80s called. They want their hair back.
that relationship lasted?
I would say probably up until the spring of 2021, sorry. Then things kind of started to fizzle away. We didn't get together as much, it seemed like. But then after Ryan's passing, we started getting together a little bit more frequently. We were doing some girl trip things. But then that kind of phased away as well too once I left.
So you were spending some time with Karina following Ryan's death, right?
Yes.
When you're spending time, it sounds like with both Ryan and Karina, did you have an opportunity to observe their relationship and their relationship dynamic?
Yes.
How would you describe that relationship dynamic?
They had good and not so good times.
And did you ever observe any instances in which Karina and Ryan argued?
Several.
When you say several, what do you mean?
Well, it seemed like a lot of times when we would go camping, something would get said or something wouldn't get done, and she would get upset and it would cause a fight. Or if we were at someone's shop or at their shop, something would get said, and I don't know what those things were, but it seemed like she might get a little upset more than you would expect someone to get upset.
Okay. And you mentioned, and some other people have mentioned, getting together in people's shops. What does that mean?
Well, it was kind of a Traer thing, I guess. Every shop had a bar.
Okay.
And so, you just get together, for a couple of cocktails or drinks just to see how everybody's week's going, or if people are having a bad day, hey, let's get together and have a couple. It was just a common thing.
And so when you say a shop, do you mean an outbuilding on a farm property typically?
Not necessarily on a farm property, but there was some in town, people had nice, glamorous shops or garages or,
Okay.
or, but it could be on both a farm or in town.
All right. So you said that occasionally you would see Karina Cooper getting upset with Ryan, perhaps more than you would expect. What was Ryan's reaction typically, if there was a typical reaction?
He would just kind of back away. He didn't really engage much, would put his head down or maybe just leave just because he didn't want to have to deal with the confrontation.
So you knew Ryan pretty well. How would you describe his personality generally?
He'd give you the shirt off his back if that was all he had left.
Did you or do you know someone by the name of Houston Danker?
I know of him. I wasn't close with him.
At some point, did you become aware of an affair between Houston Danker and Karina Cooper?
I heard a lot of talk of it.
Did you have any personal knowledge of that?
No.
Ryan was killed in June of 2021. Did you see any changes or note any changes in Karina's behavior leading up to Ryan's death?
She'd kind of gotten a little quieter, maybe wasn't getting involved with activities, losing a lot of weight to the point where it was almost concerning, like maybe there was some sort of underlying health issue. Just not the Karina I once knew.
You had stated that you observed a number of different potential arguments during which Karina would yell at Ryan, and Ryan's reaction was essentially calm. Were you aware of the topics or the nature of those disagreements or what was upsetting her?
I think a lot of it came down to money. Karina liked to redecorate and remodel, and I think that a lot of times she needed some of Ryan's help financially to do those things, and Ryan was kind of the voice of reason. Is it something that we really need to do right now? Is it something that can wait? Or, how much is it going to cost? So he was always trying to do the analytics of whatever endeavor she was taking on.
So when that would happen, and the conversations were about money, there were these sort of, as you said, Ryan's reaction was somewhat analytical. What was her reaction to his analysis?
A lot of times she'd get upset because he didn't agree with the projects that she wanted to tackle.
And what did that look like when she got upset about those types of things?
Sometimes she would yell at him and say things about why she couldn't have the money or that she hated him, and then that was usually time to leave. Like if we were around that environment, that was a sign to go.
How would you characterize how you were feeling then in response to what you were observing?
How I was feeling?
Yes.
Uncomfortable.
Did it seem funny to you or like joking around?
Well, it got to the point where she made those comments so frequently that a lot of us just took it with a grain of salt. It's like, oh, it's Karina. We didn't take it out of context.
Okay. Nonetheless, you said, if I understand it correctly, that it would reach a point where you were uncomfortable and it was time to go. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between those two things that you just described? How did you know when it was time to go?
Well, when she started yelling at Ryan and would say things like she hated him and, just vulgar stuff towards him, it just became uncomfortable and no fun to be around.
How often did you see her yelling at Ryan in that way?
More so when we'd been probably drinking. And it just depended on the time of the year, if we were around them.
You said it happened so often that it became just sort of normal.
Yes,
Did you ever see her or hear her make any threats towards Ryan?
yes, I did.
How many times?
Well, the one that stands out in my mind is the night that she yelled at him and said that she fucking hated him and would shoot him in the face.
When she yelled at him and said she would shoot him in the face, how would you characterize her behavior and the way that she said it?
Well, at that point, we're like, oh boy, time to go. We've all had enough. And so, and like before, didn't take it out of context. It was just Karina getting angry and we just decided it was time to leave.
Is that in fact what you did?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Ms. Watt, cross-examination.
Thank you. We've heard a lot of testimony about times that Ryan and Karina would fight. I have to imagine there were good times.
Yes, there were.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys did have a lot of fun together over the years.
Yes.
And I thought did some people or yourself call her Karen when she was drinking?
I don't know that I ever called her Karen. I just knew better. But yes, I had heard that, yes.
Okay. So people in the friend group were well aware that Karina can be not the nicest person sometimes, and that was her personality.
Yes.
Okay. And it sounds like Ryan, sometimes opposites. Ryan's more the non-confrontational kind.
Yes.
Now, you've testified today that you felt like sometimes Karina would go over the top, and I understand that. But do you remember when we talked in April of 2024 saying that you didn't think there was anything normal couples don't do?
I do recall saying that, yes. But since then, my mind has been like circling back, like, are there things that I missed or that I didn't say because this was not on my bucket list to be in this situation.
Right.
And so there were times that, I thought, I didn't understand why she got so angry over the little things. But maybe that is her personality. It's just not mine.
Okay. Yes, I think you also did say that she might yell and you wouldn't yell the same way because you're a bit softer.
A lot, so, yes, yes.
I also understand that hindsight is 20/20, and it's easy sometimes to look back at a situation through a different lens. Fair?
Yes.
The comment about, let me get back here. Let me be clear. Did you ever see Karina act violent towards Ryan, though?
Not physically.
Right, okay, so lots of yelling.
Lots of yelling, yes.
And then the comment of, I should shoot you in the face. Do you know when that happened?
Well, I was going back in the old photo bank, and there was a picture taken of Cortland and I. And I'm not 100% positive, but that was taken back in October of 2018.
Okay.
And I'm almost positive it was the same night. I don't know the exact night, but I know Ryan was around, and it was early to mid-evening, so I knew they weren't out during harvest season.
Okay.
Or something had happened that they couldn't be out harvesting. So I know it was that certain time of the year.
I understand. So, but regardless, you think that that comment was made in 2018 then?
Yes.
Okay.
She does look like Zoe.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Engel, any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step
you.
down. Mr. Kodiaga?
First, let me just check for next witnesses here.
All right. Sounds good.
She doesn't use words correctly.
If anybody wants to stretch, now's your chance.
Like she said, this wasn't on my bucket list. This wasn't on my bucket list. She meant this wasn't on my bingo card. She said she didn't take it out of context. She should have said I didn't take it seriously. Like, I get what she meant, but she didn't use the right expression. Yeah, it's time to ride the witch's broom. We're stretching. Yeah, I didn't see it. You said it, Jill, but she does look like Zoe. I like this judge. I think that he got a little in the weeds with the hearsay, but I don't think it was his fault. I think the lawyer, the gun thing, she was trying to get,
All right, let's go ahead and have a seat, everybody.
she was trying to get why did he want to buy the gun.
We do have our next witness, if
Okay.
he's ready.
It was state
I
of
am ready.
mind.
The state calls
And
Brian
the lawyer
Morrison.
screwed up because
Right.
she didn't argue. State of mind is an exception to hearsay, and she didn't argue it correctly to get it allowed in. So the law, she did say, well, it's state of mind, Your Honor, but she didn't do it correctly to get him
Yeah,
to
good
allow
afternoon,
it.
sir. Yeah, just come on up to my far left if you would, and you can go ahead and have a seat when you get up here, sir. And Mr. Moore, adjust that microphone however you'd like.
Hello?
Yep, that works. So first thing I'm going to do, sir, is swear you in. If you please raise your right hand. Mr. Morrison, sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in these proceedings will be the truth?
True, I do.
All right, and then just for the record, sir, can you give us your first name and your last name and spell them for us?
Brian Morrison, Brian Morrison.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Kodiaga, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. So you've stated your name, you're Mr. Morrison, correct?
Correct.
Where do you currently live? Where do you currently reside at?
I live in Traer, same place I've been most of my life.
Okay. So you've lived in Traer most of your life?
Yes,
Okay. And that's in Tama County?
correct.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a retired farmer and I drive semi now, hauling pork products.
How long have you been a farmer and when did you start driving semis?
My whole life I farmed. I started farming on my own in 1990, until 2019. Then I started driving semi.
Do you know a person, someone who used to be called Ryan Cooper?
Yes.
How do you know Ryan?
His dad and my dad were good friends in high school. Then they grew up together. And then he was younger than I was, so I really didn't meet him until, we didn't start running around until about 2008, 2009. We started farming together and we used equipment together.
when you started farming together, did you become close friends, someone you could call a friend and
Oh,
see
yes,
often?
yes.
How would you describe your relationship?
He is my best friend.
Would you see him often?
Yeah, yes.
Now, you said he was a farmer. What did he farm?
He farmed?
Yeah, what?
He farmed corn, soybeans, cattle.
And did he also use trucks and ride semi trucks?
Yes,
So sometimes he will be on his semi truck.
yep, that was part of the cattle business, hauled cattle, feed, cattle
So-
and feed.
So when you will use the semi truck, he will be hauling cattle feed or something related to the farm.
Correct.
Did you do social things together with Ryan Cooper other than farming?
Yes, a lot of family events, kids' birthdays. We camped together, motorcycled together, snowmobile together.
Do you know Karina Cooper?
Yes,
Is that person you've called Karina Cooper in this courtroom today?
yes.
Will you identify her for the jury?
She's to my right,
Don't even,
long
woman.
brunette hair.
I just wanna
Fair enough to
smack
say it's
her
very
so
difficult
bad.
for you to testify here today.
Yes,
Is that because of the nature of relationship that you had with Ryan and Karina Cooper?
correct.
I'm getting
The lady who just testified before you, Ms. McBride, do you know her?
Yes.
Can you tell us the relationship that you had with Ms. McBride?
We dated for 6 years.
So, Teresa McBride, you, Karina, and Ryan were people who were close together in a circle.
Correct.
Can you briefly tell us what your relationship with Karina Cooper was like?
We had a very good relationship. She's like my sister.
Considered a friend,
Right.
just like you loved Ryan as someone who was your best friend, you automatically then loved someone that he was in a
Yes.
relationship with.
Yes.
Quit crying. Both of y'all, quit crying.
Indicated there were social activities you did together. Did that include drinking and partying together?
Yeah.
Were there changes or in that relationship in some of these occasions in terms of what you'll observe between Ryan and Karina?
I guess drinking can change anybody's attitude, but yes, if that's where we're going, yes.
Some of those times, will she be mean to Ryan Cooper? Will Karina be mean to Ryan Cooper?
She would get a bit upset and be upset with him at times, yes.
When she was upset at him, were there occasions she would make threats at him?
Yes.
Do you recall some threats that you were present that she made when you were there?
There was times in general relationships, I hate you, I wish you were dead. Obviously, the big one you're thinking of is we were in his shop one night, and she said I could shoot you in the face, which was surprising.
So in terms of what she said, it wasn't the same as other threats of just I hate you. There's something more venomous in what she said.
I would take as the previous ones as relationship fights, but yeah, then the latter was more
Do you recall what was financial issues a tension in their relationship?
Were there financial issues in their relationship?
Was finances causing a tension between them? Did you understand my question?
There were issues, but I don't know if it caused them issues. I mean, there was financial problems at times, but I don't remember them. I don't know if it was just something he had to do to fix the current situation and move on.
Did you know Karina to own any firearms?
To own any firearms? Yes.
At some point in the time leading to his killing, did Ryan express some concerns and hand you some documents and express some concerns that if he was not alive?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Overruled. You can answer. Actually, you already
Yes.
did, I believe.
May I?
Yep.
Do you remember what Ryan expressed to you?
We were riding in a pickup, and he says, if something happens, then these documents are here. And after the fact, it took me a long time to remember that.
So he gave you some documents?
He did not give them to me. He told me where they were at.
He indicated to you some documents that he wanted you
Correct.
to be
Aware of.
aware of if he was no longer there.
Right.
You may.
Now, you talked about being aware that Karina Cooper had knowledge of firearms, correct?
Correct.
There were some concealed carry classes that were either being done at the farm that they lived in, correct?
Like the concealed carry classes?
Yeah.
Yes, we had done those at his shop there at their residence.
Did you see Karina Cooper fire a firearm in those classes?
Yes, in order to get your Florida permit, you had to fire a gun safely. And I saw her do that.
Did you become aware of tension in their relationship that involved Houston Denker?
Yes.
At some point after
I told Travis about her crying. Travis hasn't even seen her cry yet. Said the same thing. And Travis hasn't seen this. But I told Travis she was crying. She goes, she reminds me of Amber Heard. Like, Travis, you haven't even seen her.
Ryan became aware of an affair, did you notice any changes in Karina's behavior?
I guess we weren't doing as much together at the time, which that was marital issues they needed to work out. So we just didn't discuss it as much. If he wanted to talk about it, we talked about it. If he didn't, I didn't push it.
So at some time you started withdrawing, or the relationship started not being as close as
Correct.
it was before.
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Ms. Watt, any questions?
Thank you. So you mentioned him talking about some documents, and then I thought I heard you say, I didn't remember that for some time. Did you mean that you just remembered that he told you these things? What were you trying to say?
After he was killed, yeah, it was just, my mind was a mess, and I couldn't remember certain things that pertained. It just wasn't in my front memory
Okay,
like it was supposed to be.
okay. I took it to mean that you just remembered this within the last 6 months. Did I misunderstand you then?
I remembered it a couple months after he had been killed.
All right. When did he have that conversation with you?
Late fall, the year before.
So 2020, you think?
I believe so, yes.
The comment about, I'm gonna shoot you, was Teresa there for that?
Yes.
Okay. So if she thinks it was around 2018, does that sound right to you?
No.
Okay. When do you think it happened?
The fall of 20.
Okay. Did you ever witness Karina be violent towards Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember talking to me? Okay, I guess you mean you saw her be physically violent towards him?
Can't say it was physical. She would get verbally
Okay.
mad at him
Okay.
to where it was, yeah.
All right. And I understand that we're focusing a lot on the bad times in this courtroom, but I imagine that you witnessed good times between Karina and Ryan as well,
Yes,
and you guys all had fun together.
we did.
And I understand you loved them both at one time, right?
Yes.
And I understand that sometimes when Karina was drinking, a different side of her would come out.
At times, yes.
And did you have a name for her?
We called her Karen.
Karen?
You did this. Quit your crying, woman. I'm sorry.
I do not have any other questions, thank you.
Any redirect?
The name Karen was not a term of endearment, was it?
Say that again, please.
The name Karen was not a term of endearment, was it?
I'm not understanding the last part. The name Karen, what?
It wasn't a term that you were calling her because it was a love term or a nice name to call her, was it?
It was just a different personality, if you will.
So when you called her Karen, it's because she was being mean and not being nice.
Ornery. Offensive, yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Anything further?
I mean, just to be fair, though, you said she was our Karen, right? Of the group?
Of the group, yes.
Loved,
Yes.
right? No other questions?
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
See it here. Does anybody see it here? Oh, there was it here. My bad.
State prepared to call this next witness.
The state calls Brad Rund.
Yeah, she's better than Amber Heard.
Good afternoon, sir. Just come on all the way up here. There's a seat to my far left for you. Yep, just right up. Go ahead and have a seat, sir. Once you're seated, you can adjust that microphone however you'd like. Sir, I'm going to bring in. Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll be giving in these proceedings will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And then for the record, sir, can you please give us your first name and your last name and spell them?
Brad Rund, Bradrund.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mr. Whenever you're ready.
Mr. Rund, can you tell the jury what you do for a living?
For what?
What is your occupation?
Loan officer at Chelsea Savings Bank.
Can you tell the jury what a loan officer does and just break it down for them, what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I pull financials, get stuff ready for customers to see if they qualify for a loan. And then just day-to-day, do overdrafts, take phone calls, visit with customers, do ATM work, just whatever's needed at the bank.
Okay. Where is this bank located at?
In Traer, Iowa.
Tama County?
Yes.
And how long have you worked? Were you employed as a loan officer back between the period of 2020 and 2021?
Yes.
Same bank?
Same bank.
Now, you've talked about some of your responsibilities, which include oversight over account management. Is that correct? Account management for...
Yeah, if they're overdrawn.
And overdraft monitoring, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what overdraft is?
If you overextend yourself out of your account and your balance is negative.
Okay. So if you don't have sufficient funds in your account and
Yep.
it's negative, what do you do as part of the overdraft monitoring? What do you do when your clients have that? Can you just walk us through what you occasionally
Well,
would do?
I just do a courtesy call or I text my customers and let them know that, hey, they're overdrawn, and then I see if they can bring a deposit in or not, just so we don't have to return the items that are on their account, taking them negative.
As part of your professional relationship, did you have a customer or a client by the name of Karina Cooper?
Yes,
Do you see that person in this courtroom today?
yes,
Can you identify that person by an item of their clothing?
yep, she's right over there.
Dressed in what looks like a sweater or a vest?
Yep, gray or whatever with white blouse.
Your Honor, what's the record reflect? From our prior testimony, we understand that Traer is a small community. Did you know her from just the bank, or you also would socially interact with the defendant?
From the bank and both. My son-in-law and my daughter were friends with hers, and that's how I got to know him personally, but as far as like hanging out, no. Through them, I did.
Did you know the nature of the accounts that the defendant kept with your bank?
Say that again?
Did you know the types of account that the defendant kept with your bank?
Yeah, checking, savings.
As part of your banking business, did you also know someone by the name of Ryan Cooper?
Yes,
And again, was that based on the professional relationship that he had a bank account at your bank?
the same, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Permission to approach?
You may.
State Exhibit 205, 206, 204B, and 309. You can take a minute to look through those documents to see if you remember what those would be.
Okay.
So did you have a chance to look through those documents that I gave you?
Yes,
Do you recognize what they will be?
yep,
Are they documents that will be from your bank?
yes. Well, one's my phone, text message.
Okay. So one of them is your phone text message. Can you tell us what that document, what exhibit that will be?
You want me to read something off here?
No, I'll come to that, but what is
Oh.
it marked as?
206.
At this time, the agreement with the parties, if there's no objection, the state moves to amend 206, 205, 206, 204B, and 30.
Ms. Watt, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then at this time, Exhibits 205, 206, 204B, and 309 are admitted. Are you wanting to publish these?
I will briefly, but not yet.
Okay, just let me know.
You did talk about overdraft monitoring for clients. Did Karina Cooper have recurring overdraft issues with her accounts?
Yes,
Would you describe it as something that was happening repeatedly, especially in the months leading to Ryan Cooper's killing?
I can't recall for sure how many there was or whatever, but it was often.
And as part of that overdraft on her account, did you occasionally have to get in touch with Karina Cooper to talk to her about that?
Yes.
How would you do that?
I would call sometimes or I'd text.
Well, the friends testified that she was verbally abusive to Ryan, and several of them said that she threatened to shoot him in the face, and he was shot in the face. And this guy is in charge of the overdrafts at the bank, and several of her friends have said that they mostly fought about their finances, and she seemed to think that he spent all of the money on himself and that she didn't get to spend any money on things that she wanted, and that she ran up a bunch of credit card debt that he had to pay for. And this guy's saying there's a bunch of overdrafts on their bank account. So apparently she spent money that they didn't have. So that was the source of their marital problems, along with the fact that she had an affair. So that is probably the point of these witnesses.
And just was easier because sometimes they just didn't answer the phone. Sometimes voice messages weren't set up, so it just depended on the customer. I did it to multiple people.
So you let her have a phone call, or you will text her to alert her of the overdraft.
Correct.
Looking at this point, Your Honor, will ask to publish 204B.
All right.
So you have a monitor in front of you. Does it show what we are seeing on the big screen?
Yeah.
If it's easier to see that, or if you can see from there, just let me know.
No, that one's fine.
I also have a paper copy, if you would prefer that. Can you tell the jury what we are seeing on what's being admitted as 204B? What do we see on the top? What is this statement?
It's Karina Cooper's shop account. It's her checking account, regular checking account.
Okay. So she had two accounts. One was what you described as a shop account.
Yeah.
You are aware that she had a shop that she ran, correct? She had a business that she ran.
Yes, yeah.
Can you tell us briefly what this is? It says on the top right-hand side, says statement ending January 7th, 2021, correct?
Correct.
What is this sheet? What is this sheet summarizing?
It's just her basic checking account statement mailed out from the bank, ending then, January 7th.
Okay.
And it was a month prior, so it'd be her December statement.
Okay. And is this a document that as a bank?
Now Trooper DeChico has been reassigned. Man, they're cleaning house. Wow. Congratulations, Karen. I know you went through hell, but the change in the police force that has happened because of what happened to her, it's all for the good. I hope everything that happened, it's all for the good, because now all these lowlifes are getting reassigned and fired, and wow.
You regularly produce in the ordinary course of business.
Yes.
And
Monthly.
you give these or send these to customers to know what their finances are and alerts them to their spending and what their financial health looks like, correct?
Correct.
So we have where it says December 8th, 2020, if you see where my cursor is, it says beginning balance 423.72,
Correct.
and it has an ending balance. Can you just explain what those two mean?
Yep, there was 26 credits. That was deposits of 62s, 6532, and 4,908.33 cents. Left her with the ending balance of 1780.71.
Okay.
And then the $12.56 was the service charge, just the charge for that account.
When we scroll down to this account, we have this other page. And fair enough to say there are some pages in the middle that would have the transactions during that month that are not here, correct?
Correct.
What do we see on this page? Can you?
Yeah, there's right below the daily balances, it's overdraft fees. There was none for that month, but year-to-date was 225.
So the year-to-date, you have an overdraft fee of 225.
Yep.
And I don't know if you'd explain that. What is an overdraft fee?
For each transaction that overdrill the account, there's a $25 fee for a business account.
So what that means is, if the account is negative, the bank still gets to pay for that charge that went through, correct?
Yeah,
And as a result of that, the bank will charge the customer a fee of $25.
correct.
So to reach an amount of 225, there are fees that have been charged at that point.
Right, 9.
Going to show you, and this was the month of January. When we go to the month of February, same thing that we've talked about in terms of regular checking, the ending balance and the beginning balance, correct?
Correct.
So what would you say the ending balance was then in the month of February?
Well, that's the ending balance for the
For the month of January.
January, yes.
Okay.
47.72.
So is that the money that's in the account at the end of the month of January?
Correct.
She has $47.72.
Yes.
And back to the same page which talks about overdraft. What is our overdraft in the month? So this is the month ending January. What will our overdraft be?
She had $25.
I'm going to show you part of that exhibit that's been admitted as 204B for the month of March, which means the month ending February, correct?
Correct.
And what is the ending balance?
106.18.
And when we go back to the overdraft fees, now we have an amount of,
For that month.
we go to the month of April, which means the month ending March. We have the same, again, ending balance of $388.80.
Yes.
And back to the overdraft fee, what do we have now?
For that month, it was 225, and then the total is 275.
So there've been a lot of, fair to say, there was more overdraft fees in that month.
Yes.
I'm going to show you under the same exhibit 204B, the statement ending May 9th of 2021. What is the ending balance on that statement?
$14.62.
And again, when we go to the overdraft fees for that month? Fair enough to say there was none at that time?
Right, there was none.
So you have the same 275.
Yep.
What about the month of June, the year 2021? What do we have in regards to ending balance on that month?
Negative 297.73 cents.
So that month of June, now it's a negative of $297 and change. And what do we have for overdraft fees in that month ending, that month that we're talking
And
about?
overdraft fees was 200.
Which brings the total overdraft between January and the month of ending May going to June to 475, is that correct?
Correct.
You talked of a separate account that the defendant had at your bank. Showing you now, or I'm publishing now, what's been admitted as State Exhibit 309. Can you see that from where you are?
Yes.
The document we are seeing in 309 is different from the other document. Can you describe what we are seeing here?
It's just it's Karina's personal checking account. It was labeled as CSB free, which you had to go online and get your statements. This is one that the bank doesn't mail out. So it was a free account. There's no service charge for it.
Okay. It doesn't have as many features in terms of Chelsea Bank is not listed on top, or the other things that we saw in the previous document. And I'm going to show you the previous document, which will be what had been we've discussed as 204B, correct?
Yes.
When we look at this, when we look at the month of, at top it says January 7th, 2021. Can you just orient the jury to what they're saying? Just give a brief explanation.
It's the same as the last account. It starts 12/8 and it ends January 7th. So she had a beginning balance of negative 163.07 or 06, and then the ending balance on January 7th was $35.87.
So the negative sign is on the other side of the numbers. But that's a negative that we are seeing when we see the 163 and 6 cents, correct?
Correct.
And again, does this track the overdraft? And can you tell us the overdraft fees that are on document?
Yeah, for that month, it was $120, and year-to-date was $540.
Show you still part of that document that's been admitted as State Exhibit 309. We're seeing a different date. What's the date that we see on top of that document?
The top of this one was February 7th. That's the statement date.
Okay. And what's the beginning balance?
The beginning balance on January 8th was $35.87.
What is the ending balance?
The ending balance is $219.87 negative.
So negative 219.87 cents.
Yes.
Do we have an overdraft line item in this
Yes.
month?
Yes.
What do we have?
240 for that month.
I'm going to show you parts of this Exhibit 309. What date do we have now on this that I'm publishing for the jury?
This is for February. Statement date is March 7th.
And what is the beginning balance?
Beginning balance is 219.87 negative.
And ending balance?
The ending balance is 271.66.
On the overdraft line item, what do we have?
She had $90 in fees for that month, and then 330 was the total year-to-date so far.
What do we see in this document that I'm now publishing that has a different date? What date do we have?
This one's April 7th is the ending statement date. This will be for March.
Okay, and that's April 7th of 2021.
Yes,
Okay, and what is the beginning balance?
271.66,
And what is the ending balance?
83 cents.
Comes to the overdraft, do we have some items on the overdraft line?
Yes, there was one for $30, and year-to-date is 360.
Going to show you, again, part of State Exhibit 309. Now we're looking at a different month. What month are we in?
This will be for April.
And what is, so that's April, so April, but what's the month?
This is statement date for May 9th,
What is the beginning balance?
83 cents.
And what do we end up as the ending balance for this month?
Ending balance is $69.58 negative.
And that's May 9th of the year 2021.
Yeah.
Do we have overdraft fees for this period?
Yes,
What do we have?
$210.
Do we have a total overdraft fees at this time?
Yes, 570.
Same document, State Exhibit 309. We've switched to a different date on the top. Can you tell the jury what they're seeing?
June 7th, 2021.
Okay. And what do we have as the beginning balance?
Negative 69.58.
And what's the ending balance for this month?
Negative 109.79.
Again, reflecting on the overdraft fees, what do we have reflected in your document?
$300 for this month.
Giving us a total this time?
The total is 870.
So and that's $870 in just overdraft fees on this account for that period of time.
Yep, year-to-date for that year.
You, same document that's been admitted as State Exhibit 309. What do we see on this portion that I'm publishing for you?
Just used her, it was a Target debit card, or
Okay, but
Oh.
this is, what's the date that
Yep.
we have? Yeah.
Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021.
Okay.
And
And
that's,
do we have a balance reflected here?
yes, 186.09.
So as of June 23rd, this account only had 186.09, correct?
Correct.
Judge, we can take that down.
And if we're going to be done with that, I think now's a good time to take, we've been going an hour and a half, so we'll take our mid-afternoon break now, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got roughly 2:45, so 15-minute break, and we'll resume. And again, I would just remind you of the admonition that I've given you previously.
I hate breaks because I don't know what to do during breaks. What does the word bokeh mean? Bokeh. I'm looking at. I want the pair I wear glasses where it has the magnetic things that pop on, and they have Disney and they have Star Wars. And the first time I saw them, they have limited edition ones that pop up every once in a while, and they had, I think it was Halloween, and they had one that had, it looked like crime scene tape on frames with like it looked like it had like the yellow crime scene tape, and I want them so bad, but they don't have them anymore because it was limited edition. What does that word mean? Bokeh. It's Mickey says the Mickey Bokeh, and I don't know what that word means, but the frames are pretty. Behave. So they just pop right onto your frames. See the frames. Well, I did a virtual, let me find the picture. I did a virtual try on. I have tried on so many frames. Don't, my face, I don't know what my face was doing. I was listening to the trial and trying to put my face in the little box. Those are those frames. That is not my glasses. Those are the frames. That's the virtual try on. See, don't they look like my glasses? See, they just don't have the things, the metal thingies on the side. They're just all black. And then they have all kinds of different designs, and the whole things are magnet, and they just click. And you can actually, like on the commercials for the things, you don't have to take off one before you put on the other. On the commercials, they just keep slapping them on there, one on top of another on top of another. But of course, I'm not going to do that. When you, every time you get one, they send you a little case to put. Well, they are plastic. You can get them now. They just started getting metal ones. I like the plastic ones too, but these are plastic. I mean, I guess they have to have some metal in them to be magnetic. But they have, I mean, it just. You're right, Joe. That doesn't make sense. But they're like, oh, now we have metal frames. How are they not metal if they're magnetic? That is weird. Maybe they only have metal in certain spots. Maybe they're not like completely metal. Maybe they're like metal inside the plastic. Great. Now I don't know. Because I've been going back and forth about this. Because they don't have stores. You have to order them. And so I've been like, well, if I just get my glasses at Walmart, like I always do, if something goes wrong, I can take them into the store and get them fixed. But I want these so bad. I've wanted for years now. I just saw another cute Mickey one I was going to show you. Oh, there's an Ariel one. Look. It's a little mermaid under the sea. See, there's Flounder. There's Ariel. What's wrong? Do you have to go outside? Are you going to go outside this time? Come on. Well, I love my frames too, but this is the second prescription, I think. I think the second prescription I've had in these frames. So I've had them for years now, but they're cracked right here. They just cracked for the first time the other day. And I'm afraid if I don't change them soon, it's going to crack and break completely. And another thing, now I don't know if it's from the weight loss or if it's because they're getting old, but sometimes when I bend over now, they just fall right off my face. So I don't know if they just need to be tightened up or what. Hey, just because I've been wondering where you were. Pair, yeah, that's the one. You have them? That's the ones that I want. It's a pair. It's a pair I wear, yeah. That's what you have? And they're good? Because that's what I want. And they don't cost any more than a regular pair of glasses do. They're like the same price. Yeah, but they didn't fall off my face before. So now I'm gonna have to get them off when I ride a roller coaster. Because if they'll fall off when I just bend over. Yeah, I weigh less than my stepdaughters do now. I told them when they were here last night, I told them how much I weighed, and they were shocked. They were like, no way. They couldn't believe I weigh less than they do now. I'm like, yep, I do. And then they go, but you're short. You're short. I'm like, okay, whatever makes you feel good. Yeah, I am. I'm short. Oh, they have peanuts too. Oh, look how cute. Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty, Schroeder, Snoopy. Oh, they have R2D2. See, they're so much fun. I just want these so bad. They're just so much fun. I'm just like, this is my personality. Just to like, nerd wax. Nerd. That's why also, I'm sure you guys have noticed when I'm like, I'm like this because it. I have progressives and they don't ever like line up right where I'm looking. Like a lot of times if I'm watching, if I'm far away, I have to like move them down a note. And then when I'm looking at something close up, I have to like do this to kind of push them up. So, oh, and some of the sunglass covers are really pretty.
All right, everyone, go ahead and have a seat, please. Okay, we are back on the record. We have our jurors present, counsel and parties present, and we're resuming after our mid-afternoon break. Mr. Rund was on the stand, and sir, I'm just going to remind you, even though we had a short break, that you're still under oath. And with that, Mr. Kodiaga, you may resume your direct examination, and it's my understanding you wish to publish one of the other admitted exhibits. Is that correct?
That is correct, Judge. Thank you.
All right.
So, we were talking about the overdrafts. We're just done with that conversation. Were all overdrafts covered by the bank?
No.
What do you mean by that?
Well, sometimes we return the item, and then there would be a fee aside from wherever it came from. There would be a charge for that.
Will those be occasions when you didn't get to hear from the defendant? Or
Correct.
she didn't get to cover?
Yep.
Okay.
Or it'd be a big dollar amount.
I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State Exhibit 205. Are you able to see that document?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what this document is?
It's Ryan and Karina's financial statement for March 11, 2021.
What is a financial statement?
It just shows their assets, their liabilities, and their net worth.
Okay. So when we look at the assets section, which the admitted 205 shows, is that kind of on the box that talks about, is that what you will capture as asset Brian Cooper and Karina Cooper had?
Yes.
And you know it's the document, fair to say that it has a signature at the end of this document?
Yeah, that's Ryan and that's Karina's.
So the signature that I'm highlighting or pointing at right now on the left of this document, that will be Ryan Cooper?
Correct.
And this will be, on the right will be Karina Cooper?
Yes.
With the date of March 15th of 2021?
Yes.
When you go back to the assets, just very briefly, can you tell the jury what we are seeing in the asset description box? Just a summary.
Yeah, the 29.5 would be like their checking accounts, their cash that they had. The 3,400 would be like bonds, CDs, the not ready marketables, stocks and bonds was like his part of Cooper Farms.
Okay. So fair to say some of these, what we're seeing in the assets is part of what Ryan also would be involved with the Cooper farm.
Yes, correct.
When we talk like the last line of equipment, machinery, and vehicles with a sum of $203, and $3,000, 600. Will that also be the machinery or farm items, the value of those that they had?
Yes, that would have been what they owned.
Okay. Does this document have a section on what will be insurance section?
Yes. Down just a little bit. Right there.
Is that what has been
Scheduled.
and what is the on the Schedule D of that document? When you talk about insurance, were both parties insured?
Yes.
Starting with Ryan Cooper, what was his term of insurance and who was the beneficiary?
It was shelter insurance, and the beneficiary was Karina.
Okay, so, and what were the amounts that we had for Ryan?
There was a $20,000 policy with a $1,000 cash value at that time. And then there was another face value policy of $500,000.
$500,000?
Yes,
And so, in other words, if Ryan were to die in a situation where insurance covers, Karina would stand to receive $500,000.
correct.
There was still the other way you've talked about, at that time, there's a face value was only $1,000
Cash value.
cash value, but the face value was $20,000.
Yeah.
Talked about you texting or contacting the defendant by text or by phone. Do you recognize what has been admitted as State Exhibit 206?
Yes.
Are you able to read that from where you are?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you characterize what's been admitted as 206?
That's me sending Karina a message to see if she can make a deposit this morning, and that letting her know that she was on the overdraft list.
Okay, so it's a picture of a phone, fair enough, with a cell phone, fair enough, with the Brad or BR, that will be you, correct?
Correct.
And the gray text message will be you texting, with the blue being Karina Cooper,
Correct.
or Karina Cooper's phone, correct?
Yes.
And just to, not going through all of them, but to pick, let's say, the one that's December 8th, 2020, December 9th, there's a message, good morning. Can you just read that from where you are?
Yes. Good morning. Wondering if you can make a deposit this morning. You are on the overdraft list. Sorry.
And fair enough to say that Karina Cooper responds to you.
Responded? Yes. Oh, shit. Yep, I will.
Okay. Not going to go through all of them. The jury will have this exhibit with them, but fair enough to say that there were numerous messages that you will send to the defendant that will be talking about the overdraft. Or there are times she will make excuses or tell you different excuses for why she was overdrafted?
Some of them. Well, the one was Christmas got to her or whatever. I don't remember what they all said.
Okay. Like I said, the jury will have the documents to read with them. Fair enough? So moving on, based on what she, as a professional in the financial sector, what would you say was the defendant's financial help in the months leading up to June of 2021?
She was overdrawn a lot financially, just her accounts were negative sometimes, so it was tough.
I have no other questions for this witness at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Watt, any cross-examination?
Thank you. In looking at some of the exhibits that we saw, specifically with regards to her shop account, it looks like overdrafting wasn't that unusual for Karina. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay, so it's not like it just started happening in 2021. It was an ongoing issue?
yes.
Okay. And I did see that, I don't know how closely you look at the bank records, I guess, but I did see that one of the reasons she gave you for being overdrafted was her children making PlayStation purchases. Do you remember that?
Not sure. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm sure.
And we saw at least a portion of the shop account, and I know the state mentioned that sometimes it skips from page 1 to page 6. You would have provided the entire statements to whoever asked for them, right?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to mark the complete bank statements from the shop account. I'll mark them as Defendant's Exhibit D and ask to enter those into evidence.
Any objection? All right.
I'll return to it, Your Honor, once I'm able to relocate it, if that's okay.
Okay, so we'll
So
put
I'll-
that on hold and
Yes.
go ahead, Ms. Watt.
The insurance, did you write those policies, or is that somebody else?
Somebody else.
Find the information that's on a financial statement based on information that Karina and Ryan would have provided to you in their efforts to get a loan to build a shop or a building.
Yes, that was from them.
Okay. So when you're filling out the assets and liabilities, you're relying on the information they're giving.
Correct.
So when they have $200-some thousand worth in farm equipment, do you go out and verify that they have that farm equipment that's worth that?
Yes,
Okay. And isn't it true that in this case, they were claiming a tractor that belonged to the farm rather than Ryan himself?
can't answer that.
Okay. Returning to what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit D, I would re-ask to admit that, and I have now shown it to the state.
All right, now that you have a chance to look at it, Mr. Kodiaga, any objection?
No objection.
All right, Exhibit D is admitted.
Also within the text messages that we saw between you and Karina Cooper, it looked like on June 17th, 2021, you had scheduled a hair appointment with her to take place on June 18th at 8:15 in the morning. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Okay. Did she used to cut Did she used to cut your hair?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so it's certainly possible that if there's a text message that has you scheduling an appointment for June 18th, that happened.
Could have, yeah.
Okay. Not necessarily that the appointment took place, but that you would have made an appointment.
Yes.
All right. I do not have any other questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
I have no question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down and are excused. Is the state prepared to call its next witness?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Just come on up here. There's a seat to my far left. If you'd go ahead and grab a seat. And you can adjust that microphone. Yep. So first thing I'm going to do, sir, is swear you in. If you please raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving today will be the truth?
I do.
Okay. And then for the record, can you please give us your first name and last name and spell them for us?
Jeff Gudenkauf, Jeff, Gudenkauf.
All right, Mr. Ringel.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Gudenkauf, how are you employed? Good. How are you employed, sir? I'm sorry? How are you employed? I work for Shelter Insurance. What do you do for Shelter Insurance? I'm an agent. What are your general duties as an insurance agent? To sell and service policies, property casualty and life insurance. You mentioned life insurance. Could you just briefly break down how life insurance policies work? Sure. So the owner of a life insurance policy pays premiums into the company with the expectation that upon the death of the insured, proceeds are paid out to the beneficiary listed on the policy. So how is a life insurance policy obtained? The owner of a policy completes an application for an insured. There are medical tests that can be completed if that is a requirement of the policy. That goes through an underwriting process, and then a policy is either issued or the application is declined. And how are the beneficiaries determined? That is determined at the time of application based on the owner. It's generally some sort of a family member, but not in all cases. So if someone's interested in obtaining a life insurance policy and they're doing that through you with Shelter Insurance, what does that process look like? Generally, they will reach out and a number of conversations can take place determining the amount of life insurance. The application process is generally about 4 to 5 pages. A lot of medical history questions. Signatures are obtained, and that policy application is submitted to the company for underwriting. May be obvious, but what's the purpose of the medical information that you obtain? As with anything with insurance, you're essentially insuring a risk, so you're trying to determine the likelihood of that policy paying out. So obviously, the health history of an individual bears a pretty significant impact on that. So if there's only a single beneficiary that's listed, is that the individual who then receives the sum of money or the amount the insurance policy was for upon the death of the insured? Can you say that again? Yes, if there's only a single beneficiary, is that the only individual then who's paid out upon the death of the insured? Yes, generally. Can you explain the process or what occurs upon the death of an insured? Following death, you said? Yes. Yeah. So generally, the beneficiary will contact the company to let us know of the death of the insured. If I'm the point of contact on that, I relay that information to the company directly, and then they obtain the needed information from the beneficiary in order to process that payment. Do you yourself reach out to beneficiaries and indicate that there's a life insurance policy that exists and a potential payout? It's not my practice to do so, no. Presumably, if someone obtains a life insurance policy, that's documented, correct? Yes. Now, I know that things may have changed. A lot of things are done electronically now, but if someone was obtaining a life insurance policy in the past, say 2021 or before, is that something you would do in person? Yes. Okay. And they would come into your office and sit down and sign documents, is that correct? Generally in the office. I've done it in people's homes as well. Did you know Ryan Cooper? Yes. How did you know him? He was a client of my agency when I began back in 2006. Did he have any life insurance policies through Shelter Insurance? He did. Do you recall how many life insurance policies he had? On himself or as the owner? Yeah, just on himself, he being the insured. I believe 2. Judge, may I approach?
You may.
Going to be showing you what's been marked as States Exhibits 207 and 208. Just go ahead and take a look at those. Once you get a moment to familiarize yourself with them, let me know. Do you recognize those documents? I do. What is States Exhibit 207, just generally? Is that life insurance policy documentation? This is an application for a $20,000 whole life insurance policy. And the applicant or insured? The applicant and owner and insured is Ryan Cooper. And States Exhibit number 208, same question. What is that? That is a 30-year level term life insurance policy, also on Ryan Cooper in the amount of $500,000. Judge, at this time and by stipulation of the parties, the state would move to admit States Exhibit 207 and 208.
Ms. Watt?
No objection.
All right, States Exhibits 207 and 208 are admitted.
Mr. Gudenkamp, I want to turn your attention first to Exhibit number 207. You stated generally what that is. It's a life insurance policy. What was the amount of that life insurance policy? That is a $20,000 face amount. Can you explain what that means? That is the proceed that would be paid out to the beneficiary upon death. And I think you already stated the insured party was Ryan Cooper, correct? Correct. Who was the beneficiary on that document? Karina Cooper. Moving on then to States Exhibit number 208, same question, what was the nature of that exhibit? That's the application for a $500,000 term life insurance policy. And the insured on that policy? Is Ryan Cooper. And the beneficiary? Karina Cooper. If I understand correctly, upon the death of Ryan Cooper, those are the amounts roughly that would be paid out to the named beneficiary being Karina Cooper, correct? Correct. How are those proceeds paid out upon the death of an insured? Those are generally paid out in a lump sum in a check. And where does that check originate from? That would be the home office in Columbia, Missouri. Now, is that something that's then delivered to you and you take it to the beneficiary, or does that go directly to the beneficiary? Can be done both ways. Do you recall, as an insurance agent, becoming aware of the death of Ryan Cooper? Yes. And ultimately, was a claim made related to these life insurance policies that you just testified to due to the death of Ryan Cooper? There was. And to your knowledge, were those life insurance policies then paid out to Karina Cooper? Yes. If I may approach.
You may. You don't need to ask again a witness if you're planning on coming up again.
All right, thank you. Showing you the mark that States Exhibit 209 and 210.
Why did they pay them? That's ridiculous.
Starting with States Exhibit 209, do you recognize that?
I
do.
And what is that?
That would be a claim check in the amount of $24,724.32.
Made out to whom?
Karina Cooper.
And to your knowledge, is that associated with the insurance policy that you testified to, which was State's Exhibit Number 207?
Yes.
Same question with regard to State's Exhibit 210. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
That is a proceeds check paid out in the amount of $514,882, or I'm sorry, $514,882.21 paid out to Karina Cooper.
And to your knowledge, is that associated with the insurance policy that you referenced, State's Exhibit 208?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, again, by stipulation of the parties, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit 209 and 210.
Ms. Watt?
No objection.
All right. States Exhibits 209 and 210 are admitted.
You stated State's Exhibit 209 was a shelter insurance check, correct?
Correct.
Paid out to Karina Cooper?
Correct.
And that was in the amount of, I believe you said, a little over $24,000?
Correct.
Based on the documentation kept there by shelter insurance, was that check in fact cashed by Karina Cooper?
Yes.
Same question with regard to State's Exhibit Number 210. That was shelter insurance check that was paid out to Karina Cooper?
Correct.
And did she in fact cash that check?
Yes.
And the total amount of that check again, sir?
On 210 was $514,000. I'm sorry, $514,882.21.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Ms. Watt, any questions?
Just a couple. When did Ryan apply for the life insurance?
I do not have the exact date in front of me.
Do you not have the exhibits in front of you?
Of the policy they paid out, I believe that there was a policy prior to this. The application date on this policy was November 20th, 2013.
Okay. Can you just check, were both policies that you have in front of you applied for in 2013?
That date was on Exhibit 208 with term policy Exhibit 207. Was also November 20th, 2013.
Okay. Did you, in dealing with Ryan, did you ever meet Karina?
Yes, I don't recall the exact time, but it was very few times.
Okay, so you dealt primarily with Ryan?
Correct.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Engel, anything further?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down and you're excused. Oh, sir, going to have you go down. Yep. Mr. Engel, is the state prepared to call its next witness?
May we approach, Your Honor?
You may. Pretty quick today. By my calculation, we've gone through 8 witnesses today, and I think we moved quicker than anybody anticipated. So I guess good news, bad news, depending on how you look at it. We don't have another witness here today. So the next witness we will have will be here ready to go at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. My understanding is we're moving ahead of schedule, so even though we're ending a little bit early, don't worry, we're still on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, as we talked about. So what that means for you is you get to go home a little bit early today. So I'm going to ask that you be back here ready to go at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And again, remind you of the admonition that I've given you earlier. Still keep an open mind. We have more testimony and exhibits, I'm sure, to come in. And don't talk to anybody about the case. Don't let anybody talk to you about the case. Don't do any sort of investigation or research about anything related to the case, and avoid any media accounts of the case, both traditional media and any sort of social media accounts of the case as well. And with that, all of you, I hope you have a good afternoon and good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ready? So, a couple things I had on my list, and I know you guys had something you wanted to talk about as well, but just one, considering we're removing, when do you folks think you can get me some jury instructions? I'd like to have them maybe by the end of the day tomorrow.
I
Would
can
that
do
work?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can submit a proposed set of joint jury instructions tomorrow by the end of the day, that would be great. And end of the day means midnight as far as I'm concerned. I know oftentimes, I just heard at a seminar when people talk about this, end of the day to people my generation usually means 5 o'clock. End of the day to, my kids means midnight now, since everything's submitted electronically. So it's always good to confirm what that means. So end of the day, we'll call it midnight. We'll pretend we're all in our teens and 20s. Then, Ms. Watt, I saw, I think, the most recent exhibit D
Yes.
came across as a proposed exhibit. I'm going to need A and B at some point still, and then C, I assume, will consist of a thumb drive or something like that that we'll be able to get to the jury.
Yes.
So just want to remind you of that. All right, then last, we're circling back to proposed exhibit 306, I believe, which is the what was played to the jury as a demonstrative exhibit when I believe it was Detective Lord who testified. And so we'd kind of reserved that. I saw, Ms. Watt, you did file an additional objection, written objection, and I think both of you indicated you had more to say on the issue, potentially at this point, so I'll give you a chance. And also, like I said, that was played, I believe, Thursday of last week. So, and I know we had discussed the state was proposing to remove a couple pages for that. I'd like to see the actual exhibit again. So if you could upload, and we're going to need it, either way, we'll need it to complete the record. So if the state could upload a proposed exhibit 306 for my review, I would appreciate it. And then, I guess, with that, Mr. Ringel, I guess, first of all, before we get to exhibit 306, is there anything else you wanted to cover today?
No, just regarding 306.
Yeah, and Ms. Watt, anything else you or Mr. Hawbaker wanted to cover today other than 306?
No.
All right, then tell me what you'd like to tell me, Mr. Ringel, with respect to number 306.
Judge, thank you. I think what the state's original intent in the argument that the state proposed was that the exhibit is essentially more or less information taken directly from the Celebrite reports or Axiom Magnet reports. Obviously, voluminous records, thousands of pages of data from these phones. So I think defense is correct in noting that some of the information that's contained on the state's proposed exhibit is not directly from those Celebrite records. What the state would propose doing then is removing any information, which is fairly limited, but removing any information that is not directly from the Celebrite reports, and then moving to admit it pursuant to Rule of Evidence 5.1006.
Well, here's what I would propose. Before we argue about an exhibit, let's get the exhibit. So you remove what you think should be removed. Then we'll give Ms. Watt and Mr. Hawbaker a chance to look at it. They may not have an objection, they may, but we'll, let's cross that bridge if we need to, and only if we need to. So, does that work for you, Mr. Rawbaker, Ms. Watt?
Yes.
All right, so I'll know it when it comes in, I'll see it, so, and then you folks will have a chance to look at it, and again, this is not something that we need to decide till, obviously, before we submit this case to the jury, so we need to get it done, but there's no time crunch, so, all right?
And Judge, the state will prepare that and provide it to defense and the court today.
Sounds good?
That's right.
Yeah. All right, anything else that we need to take up?
Now for the state.
All right, well, thank you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow afternoon, I hate to do this to y'all when we're doing a trial, but I have an appointment with my pain management doctor, so we're not going to have an afternoon session tomorrow because they usually come back from lunch at 2:30. My appointment is at 3:30, so rather than to start an afternoon and then have to immediately a half hour later, we won't have an afternoon tomorrow, but and of course I know you guys are probably going to watch it somewhere else. That's fine. But wait, so tomorrow's Tuesday. So in the morning we'll do Phil Spector. We will do the morning session of this, and then I'll go to the doctor, and then Wednesday morning we will do the afternoon session of this instead of Phil Spector. If you want to watch it with someone else or watch right from Court TV, that's fine. All I ask is that you don't come in Wednesday morning and do any spoilers. I get it. I'm sorry that I have a doctor's appointment. I hate that. I hate that totally. But I have no choice. So that is the plan for this week. And then 2 days next week, I have doctor's appointments as well. We will cross that bridge when we come to it. This is supposed to be a 10-day trial, and this is day 3. And I just heard that Stephen Stern's trial is starting on the 22nd of July. I don't normally like to do trials that are about kids, but I've been following this case, and it's a Florida case, so this one I want to do. I don't know why. This one, I want to see this guy get what's coming to him. I want to see this. I want to see this one go down. So, we're doing this one. I want to. So that's it for today. Phil Spector at 8 in the morning, and then this at 10, and nothing tomorrow afternoon. So thank you for coming out. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Be kind to people. Love your family. Jesus loves you, and so do I. And I will see you in the morning. Have a great evening, guys. Thanks again. Love y'all.